so I can do my job.
Hi, my name is Rose. I was incarcerated at Lowell Correctional Institute. The correctional part's a joke. There's no correction there. I learned more ways of going against the law and winning than anything while I was there. They have no educational program. I was part of the faith-based program, and being Jewish myself, so it would be an faith. Most all of us were kicked out for either being Jewish or being gay. They went against all. We were pretty much pushed out. Myself was by one of the officers actually lying and had me locked up in solitary confinement for 10 days. The charges were, of course, dropped because they were asinine. I went into the faith-based program in April, and in May I was bit by a spider while there. While going to the medical, of course, I was going to medical. The spider bite became 8 centimeters, which is approximately that size. That was the outside part of it. The inner part was 3 centimeters. I went to the medical every day. It was cut open 3 times before they finally took the core out. I guess they were calling it a core. It was 3 centimeters. When they pulled it out, yeah, they pulled the core out okay, but it wasn't a core. It was actually a sack of spider eggs out of the bite from not being treated as I should have been, or the medical treatment that I needed. It was actually forming baby spiders inside of me from a bite. I've got the scar from it. I wanted to say that a lot of times when the inspectors would come out, they would keep us under lock and key. They wouldn't let us out of our dorms or whatever, at the time, to let someone know, hey, that place has not been sprayed by a licensed insecticide company or any other thing in probably more than a year. So the spiders were not just 1 or 2. I mean, I'm talking a lot. We stuffed pads. We tore pads apart and stuffed them around our windows to try and keep the spiders out and away from us. We'd wake up and spiders would be in our hair or on our bodies. So a lot of that is being hidden. It's not being told. A lot of people are getting bit by spiders there, and the treatment really bites itself. The medical treatment's not much good. I know that the medical treatment's not much good. I have lupus, and one day in the chapel I started actually heaving blood. Pretty nasty, I know. And medical was called, and they came down, they got me, and they said, "Oh, guys, it's you again," like this, because I had fainted during the water shortage, which is a different story. Tests were done by the doctor. The lupus test was supposed to have been done. Of course, rheumatoid arthritis, a multitude of tests were supposed to have been done to prove that I do have lupus and to start treating me or helping me, for goodness sake. It was never done, and I say this because the blood work was done, but the lupus test was not done, and the warden of Lowell told my family, the test is done and it's negative, and that she's okay. And no, I was not okay. At the time, my blood pressure was running 202 over 104. One of the nurses came down to test my blood pressure, and that's what it was, 202 over 104. And her words were, "My God, we can't write that down. Let's try it again later." And so, of course, I had to walk down 2 times a day, every day, for about 3 weeks to get my blood pressure checked, and that's all they did. They finally started me on a 20 milligram lisinopril, and it still wasn't enough. My blood pressure still runs extremely high, and I was told by medical I needed to call my family, or next time I spoke to my family, to tell them, stop saying we're incompetent. And I said, why would I do that when you are incompetent? And Nurse Watson smacked her hand down on the counter and said, I ought to have you locked up for that. Locked up for what? I mean, telling the truth and my family telling the truth. There's been times there at Lowell when I was there, actually 2 times in particular, where we weren't fed. We were not, I know I'm large, but no, those days I was not fed. Were called to the dining hall. We were carted in and standing in line waiting. We were told, at the time we didn't know, but we were told, get the F out of line, get the F back to your dorm. Don't touch that effing tray, by one of the guards there. I don't know if I'm allowed to give names or not, but if you want to know later, just text and I'll tell you. We were told to get back to our effing dorms, so we went back to our dorms. This was approximately 4:30 in the afternoon, and by 7 we still hadn't eaten. We were complaining and saying, we need to eat. I mean, there are people that are there that don't get commissary, money from family to buy extra food or whatever. So they were hungry. They're very hungry, but they didn't feed us. But the next day, the warden stated that the lieutenant or sergeant on duty told her all was well, that we were fed. No, we were not. No, we were not. Mm-mm. And it happened a second time similar to that. Well, the reason why we weren't fed and had to leave was when a sewer line broke. There in the chow hall, there was sewage all over the kitchen floors and whatnot. And the second time is when one of the dorms, the water line, the roof actually fell in, part of the roof, and water was coming in from busted water lines. The electrical lines were hanging down. And so when we use the phone and call our families to let them know what's going on, what's happening is they're listening to our phone calls. So they know ahead of time, hey, you know what, this person just told her family about what's going on, and this is, this may happen or that may happen. So they know ahead of time what to hide, and they normally do hide. They hide us. They keep us in the dorms. It just takes just a minute because it's just unbelievable. My stay there was just totally unbelievable. I mean, there's no respect for any of the inmates, no matter what they did. There's no respect from the guards. They don't even respect themselves when we're being called MFers and the C word and calling a woman out of her name. I mean, fat bitch and things like this. I mean, we're called names, like treated like animals. It's a non-smoking facility. None of the inmates are allowed to smoke, but they smoke right outside the chow hall. While we're standing in line, we have to smell their stink. Okay, I don't smoke. I don't want to smell you, but we are smelling them. I'm not sure what else I want to put into this because there was so much that happened. During the storm, during the storm, they had multiples of people that came from other prisons. They brought them from other prisons and moved them in with us, which, hey, that's cool, as long as they're safe. But they had them sleeping on the floor, okay, for one, for days. We had no running water, no shower water, hot or cold. No, we did not. When they brought the water in for us supposedly to bathe with and flush the toilets with, there were little worms, squiggles,
that was during
squiggling worms.
That was during the broken pipe.
Yeah, that was during because the pipe broke. goodness. I'm just glad that I'm home and away from there. I'm glad that I made it home alive. And that,
Okay. Yeah, when I
uh,
can, I feel better.
when I feel a little bit better, I think I can finish this somewhat better because this really just about tears me apart mentally and physically. The deceit that's going on by that facility, by Lowell. We had a young lady that was there over Christmas, perfectly healthy, nothing wrong with her. Young girl, pretty girl too. Came in and during visitation on December 25th, and within less than 2 weeks later, the girl was dead. Okay, so there's a lot going on. 2 days before I left Lowell, they had a girl, took her down. What I mean by take her down was they weren't only holding her, holding her. When she was in cuffs, she tripped, um, she fell forward, and when she did, he took his knee and hit her in the backs of her legs, and it sent her face first onto the sidewalk. There were probably, I'm going to say at least 9, if not more, COs ran from every direction and piled on top of this girl. Okay, and they put her up. They put her in something called the chair. It's some kind of a metal restraining chair that rolls. But once they got her inside S dorm, which is where I was living at the time, they used so much spray on her, so much of the gas, the spray that they used, the gas, and sprayed her so much. Everything there was orange and red. We all had to remove ourselves from the facility and go outside for almost 2 hours because they used so much on her that she suffocated. Okay, I'm being real about it. The girl. So there's a lot more that's going on at that prison than they're letting on. Like I said, and they're finding out from the families, telling their families what's going on. Back during when they had a pipe break quite a few months ago. We had no water whatsoever then either. They weren't letting us out, so we had no electricity. We had no running water. It was so hot in there. They said they were keeping it at a humane temperature. No, they were not. No, they were not. We were using pieces of cardboard, pieces of rags, whatever we could get a hold of to wet down our bodies and fan ourselves because it was so hot. They said that they were bringing in water by the tankard that had been donated and had been brought in. Well, we weren't getting it. We were allowed 3 of the little cone-shaped cups. I believe they're 5-ounce or 6-ounce cups. We were allowed 3 of those a day, but they weren't full to the top. So we were getting approximately 4 ounces each 3 times a day, maybe 4 times a day. And I became very dehydrated and very sick at the time. That's what caused the blood pressure issue, was lack of water and the dehydration. So here I've got the spider bite that I'm tending that became infected with spider eggs and being dehydrated. And really nothing was being done. And I'm just glad to have made it out of there alive.
When you were dehydrated, they try to put a needle in.
When they had me in medical, at the time I was trying to heave, but nothing was, of course, coming up. It was all dry. They tried to put an IV, a needle and IV into my arm anyways, and they weren't able to. Okay, they weren't able to because I was so dehydrated, and they just don't know how. They don't know how. Even I went back another time for a blood work to be done, and the girl jabbed me 5 different times here in my right arm and my left arm, of course, between the two, before she was able to even get the blood leaving big bruises and whatnot. But we're not supposed to say anything, about the medical part because it would bring problems not only for ourselves but for the people in our dorms. And they would say, we're doing this, cutting off your phone privileges or your rec privileges or your yard privileges because such and such said this or that. So they are using that against everyone else, and it's not fair. Okay, it's just not fair. I've seen the way that they treat these females. It's just not. It's not good. None of it's good. The food. I mean, we'll get on to the food. Gee, what you call that stuff food? Really? It's garbage. Okay, most all of it is garbage. We were not given these nice little bowls of salad that everyone assumes that we're getting. We very rarely did. When we got vegetables, they were frozen vegetables, and they were still frozen. They weren't even cooked. They weren't even heated up, for goodness sake. They were just thrown on a plate. The soy patties that we were fed is just, that's atrocious. That's garbage, okay? It's not real. We were given hot dogs twice a week. Sometimes even more between that, the bologna sandwiches, and whoever heard of having potato salad with peanut butter? Hey, there you go. There's a lunch to be. They would feed. It's just unreal. When you went to eat any of their bread, you'd have to pick up and then look and make sure that the mold wasn't around the edges of it or that the rats haven't been chewing on it. And you know that the rats have been chewing on it because you can see pieces of plastic along with the little bite marks embedded into the bread. It's pretty disgusting. Okay, and when the sewage line backs up in the kitchen, I mean, the sewage is all over the floors there in the kitchen, but they're still cooking and still feeding us, and we're expected to eat that? Really? How about let's get the warden down there and let her try some of her own food? So it's been, she says that they have a nutritionist. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm a master nutritionist through IFAS, as a matter of fact. And that food, there's nothing nutritional about it. Okay, we all know that a lot of soy in menopausal women causes breast cancer. Okay, and other cancers, but that's what they choose to feed us. It has probably been the worst 10 months of my entire life, and I pray every day for everyone that's there. The way that they're being treated is just, it's just unreal. It's scary. It's deadly scary. And like I said, they cover a lot of that up because they do listen to our phone calls, which I don't care. But I know that they do listen to mine because I told my family everything that was going on. And I had one of the guards come to me and say one day, "Girl, you're nasty." I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "Well, I'm the one who listened to your phone calls, and we make sure that we do. You see, because I've been telling the truth the whole time, and they don't want me to. So while making a phone call, I wasn't able to get through at times. I wonder why. They don't want the truth to get out. And everyone needs to know the truth of what's really going on there. I mean, even during Hanukkah, our candle lighting, like I said, I am Jewish. I'm Ashkenazi, and we were on our way to our candle service, our first night. Everything went pretty well. But the third night that we were called to go, we were told, "Christ lovers on the right, cow car people on the left." He was talking about the Jews standing in his tower, letting the whole area know that we were the only Jews. There were probably 5 of us at the time, and we were made to get on the left because he called us cow car people, as in Auschwitz and the death camps. And they're very rude. They're very nasty people. They shouldn't even be there. When I was there, I know that some of the COs or guards or whatever were let go because of drugs. Yeah, doing drugs. Alcohol. We had one used to come in and would check our drawers, walk along, just pull the drawers out and check them. Anything he liked that he saw, he wanted, hey, he took it. He took it. Nutty Buddy bars, cookies, that sort of thing. He'd go and sit in the office, and one day he made the mistake of falling asleep, and one of the other COs actually did report him, so he lost his job for that. I was put in confinement for 10 days. He lied. Yeah, he lied. Um, Everybody says, "Oh no, I didn't do it," and he lied, but no, I couldn't have done it. And the reason I can tell you this is the sign-out sheet that he did on me for this so-called incident was on the 7th. It didn't happen until the 8th, just saying. But he already had it wrote out. He already had it made up. And I still believe that he did that because the warden and our assistant warden were still kind of ticked off that I'm telling people the truth about what's going on. And how many times Tallahassee's been down there, and they need to be there more often. They do, they really do. But yeah, I was locked up for 10 days, and he said the reason is because I'd said GD out loud, and I'm in a Bible thumper, holy roller program. No, I don't get it. I'm not a Bible thumper. I've never thumped a Bible in my life. I've never smoked a holy either. But the guy was just a jerk. And between my dorm and where I was going on dorm T, where he was taking me, he called me asshole approximately 4 times because I refused to speak to him. Okay, that's the best thing, is just don't speak to them, because they will bring it down on you. And it's safer to just be quiet, but not anymore. I wasn't quiet there, and it kind of made them mad, and I'm not going to be quiet now. I'm going to let the world know that there is deceit and a lot of cover-up going on in Lowell with the so-called warden that you have there now. Why has she got a house on grounds and a house off? Thanks, Captain. Just saying. The people there need help. I mean, seriously, the whole place needs help. There's so much going on. I mean, not only with the facility itself, which is falling apart, the roofs are leaking. A fire started in Romeo dorm right before I left. Faulty wiring. So a fire started and smoked them all out, and so they had to leave. But they said it was because they needed to get in and paint the place. They didn't paint the place. It was a fire. Okay? They had a woman who fell out of her bunk who busted her head and had 10 stitches put in. And they moved her right back to the top bunk. They didn't even give her a bottom bunk. They said that she wasn't eligible. That's Dr. Rodriguez for you, just saying. The people there that need walkers, some people do need walkers to help them along, okay? And wheelchairs, and they're being given walkers, okay, but not with any kind of wheels or anything. They're given the little cheap bracket things that are used for therapy. Now, there's a difference for an everyday walker and a therapy walker. Okay, the legs are bending, they're falling over the cracks, they're falling on grass. It's unbelievable, just unbelievable. And it's a shame that it's being allowed to get away with. And they shouldn't be allowed to get away with what they are. They say that they have programs there for rehabilitation. No, they don't. No, they don't. No. Like I said, I was in the faith-based program, and I was given 2 certificates, and I've got them as proof. I've got certificates that were dated December of 2016. I wasn't incarcerated until March of 2017, so how could I have gotten those 2 certificates or earned them? I didn't earn them. This is the lies that's being done. Is they're telling people we have these programs, and the government's giving them money, and other organizations are giving them money but it's not being used for educational purposes. Where is it going? It's not going to the faith-based program or any of the other programs because it no longer exists. Hmm?
Growing one to volunteer for a program.
I'll have to do this later. I just don't feel right now. I'm just really heart sick. And Kathy, by the way, I don't know you or anything like that, but I do want to thank you. And I hope that maybe someday I could meet you and talk to you and let you know the rest of the story because I get super upset when I think about it. I mean, I've never been in anything like that. Actually, what we do, we run food pantries, and we're pretty out there like that. But this has been a unbelievable. It's unbelievable the things that are going on there. I mean, people are being hurt. People are being killed, literally killed, and not just because of medical, but other issues that are going on there. And there's a whole lot being covered up there. And I hope that one day they'll put a stop to a whole lot of it, or somebody will show up unexpectedly and really see what's going on or really hear what's going on, maybe dress somebody up and let them be a pretend convict or inmate or whatever for a little bit and let them listen to what's really going on there because it's not good. It's not good. Thank you.